See what happened was.
Welcome back, everybody, to BGFC Weekly, where we discuss all things our Golden Lions. I'm Jimmie, and I want to thank you all for joining me again today. Today, we have BGFC Midfielder and newly announced Head Instructor of Skill Development, AJ Ray. AJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. Before we get too deep into things, what does Head Instructor mean? That's an odd phrase for a soccer academy team.
Well, you have instructors of all walks of life, any different job you go to.
True. It's a little Harry Potter, though.
A little bit. But I think just being appointed, at a level where you're helping others instruct kids. So, maybe I'm helping other coaches, get kids to different levels as well. When they're not seeing me. So.
Okay, so that does make a little more sense then.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
I just remember reading it the first time. Well, even before I read it, like Ben was sitting in the office after we recorded another podcast, and he was like, "We need a title for AJ." And he looked at me, and I was like, "I don't know." And then he spit that out, and I was like, "Okay, go for it. It fits."
Hey, whatever works. I've been through 3 or 4 different ones, but if that sticks, then we'll roll with it.
All right, well, we'll jump into those other titles here in a minute. But on today's episode, we're going to review what happened in the Kentucky-Tennessee Premier Division semifinals, as well as take a look ahead to the division championship matchup. So let's go on in to the first semifinal matchup, BGFC and Iterbide FC. If you haven't had a chance to watch yet, you may want to save yourself some time and effort. Final score, BGFC 1, Iterbide FC 5. It was a tough outing for the players. However, I think the person that took the hardest hit was Johnny Pena, who is a broadcaster from Nashville. And listen, folks, he does a great job with his broadcast, especially his Hispanic broadcasting that he does for in Nashville SC and some of the other teams that he broadcasts for. He does a really good job. However, that first half was darn near unwatchable. Yeah. I don't know if it was just bad internet. I mean, AJ, you were out there. Did you have cell phone service or?
I had great service out there. I was out there seeing if I could catch some video, do some TikTok or something like that. But I heard from multiple people. They were texting me. My phone was blowing up the whole time. It's like, man, what is going on? Like, we can't see anything. And I was like, I don't know.
Well, and I was freaking out at home. So, spoiler alert, if you are following along in game days on Twitter, if it's a road game, I'm probably the one doing the Twitter. So I'm like trying to piece together because the internet went out in Bowling Green for the probably the first 5-10 minutes. Like, I don't know what happened. Spectrum, come on now. You got to give me a little bit better internet when I'm trying to do things on the internet. And Spectrum, if you'd love to sponsor the podcast, I would love to have you.
That's an ad right there.
Absolutely. Take every moment to do that.
Yeah.
So my internet went out, so I'm texting with some of the other media team, and I'm like, hey, let me know what's happening. I'll get it back eventually, and I'll just send out a large tweet. And I think I wound up sending out like 5 tweets at halftime.
Wow.
Because it took a while to get the internet back up. And then Johnny, again, he has great quality equipment. He's a great person. I spoke to him when he came up here to do the Iterbide BGFC match. It's amazing what he does. Do you know how he does all that?
I have no clue.
He does it all off of hotspots and do you know what a Raspberry Pi is?
No.
So a Raspberry Pi is like a mini computer, like a microcomputer kind of a thing.
Oh.
So that's how he does the majority of that, is off of those 2 little devices. He has a hotspot, like a T-Mobile hotspot. T-Mobile Bowling Green, I know that you all are probably listening right now.
Yeah.
Give us a sponsor. We'd love to work with you.
Call us.
Right, call me up. But yeah, that's who he has. And, we just kind of talked to him about his setup because we would like to do a similar setup, for us. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And we're back after a little bit of light issues. So for those who are listening to the audio version, you may hear a little bit of side chatter that got recorded, but we had a little light go out, but we are back. So AJ, back to what we were talking about. Not a great day for BGFC. 5-1 loss to Iterbide. You were there, right?
Yep, I was there.
So talk to me from your perspective. What happened in that game?
I think we just came out, guys in different positions, and it was just hard to get into a rhythm initially. And, we've struggled with our starts pretty much every game. We're having a slow start, but today, Saturday, it was slow start, out of rhythm, and heat's kind of adding up on guys as well.
Yeah, and that was kind of two things that I noticed. For their first goal was within the first 5 minutes or so, 7 minutes maybe. But it was quite warm in Bowling Green, so even a little further south, closer to Nashville as you all were, I'm sure it was even hotter. For those who didn't necessarily have a chance to watch it, just briefly kind of recapping it. Iterbide took a 2-0 lead. Goals in the 12th and 21st minute. I did denote those. But BGFC did start to make a small comeback. 28th minute PK by Michael.
PK by Michael.
Michael Squarecoast. What happened with the foul there?
We had started to move the ball around a little bit. Got the ball into the right wing and just inside the box, and defender, honestly, he had great position to prevent a cross or even prevent the shot. And he just goes 2-footed into our player. I believe it was Ryan or Anthony. Ryan or Anthony, one of the two had the ball, and 2-footed tackle was reckless. Missed the ball.
Right.
Automatic PK.
All right, we'll take it. So BGFC got back into it, 2-1. But that ends kind of our highlights for the day, unfortunately. IFC struck home late in the first half to go into half up 3-1. With a late goal like that, AJ, what happens to a team?
Yeah, it can be demoralizing, especially after we got one back. And for the rest of the half, for the most part, we kept possession.
You did.
We weren't able to see that in the I guess telecast.
Oh yeah. Well, you can go back and watch Johnny's cast. It is a little choppy still, but it is a little more watchable when he uploaded it afterwards.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we had possession for the most part. I felt like another one was going to come. We got a couple shots off, and just giving up one at last 3 minutes right before the half was just kind of demoralizing, I think.
So then, you come out of the half, still a little competitive for the first part of the second half, but then 68th minute, 70th minute, 88th minute, final 5-1.
Yeah.
So, I really had a sinking feeling about the game when I was talking to another player earlier in the day, and they said sickness, injury, and quitters would be the reason that we were to lose the game. If we were to lose, that would be why. So, AJ, I don't know, by knowing that your teammates were thinking those kind of things, any thoughts on that?
I don't know who was sick, but a couple guys were injured. I know myself, I would be categorized as probably the quitter there, but
I wouldn't say that. Hold on, we'll get to that part in a minute. That's a later part of the conversation, but
I think we're talented. We were super talented. If you had all of us there, and if everything was whole, then we'll probably beat them worse than we did the first time. So probably a little truth to that. I'd say a little truth to that.
And reading it as a fan, and as somebody who works with the team here, like it kind of stung me a little bit, and I was like, "Oof, that's kind of hard to take."
Unfortunate to go into the game thinking like that, but there's some truth. There's some truth because as a whole team, the talent level was, immensely greater than last year, I think. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'd say there's some truth there.
So, kind of overall, how would you summarize the season for BGFC?
I'd have to be honest and say that not what we wanted. I'm not one to go with, hey, we had a winning record. I'm not one
Right.
of those guys. It's a failure to me. I think, not being able to do better than you did the previous year, especially when you set your hopes on doing something, or at least keeping that same momentum going that you had from last year, I'll say it's a failure. Not going to beat around the bush about it.
Yeah, so, talk to me about, from your perspective, you make it to the round of 16 in the national tournament. To then, you bring most of the same team back with some improvements. Well, on paper, you would have thought there were improvements this year. So what was that difference this year?
This year is just more competitive.
True. That's very true.
This year was more competitive within the league. I'll say training was more competitive.
So even every week with BGFC, it was more competitive.
Yeah, a lot more competitive. But that caused issues in itself. Just being competitive. Guys are fighting for spots, and at the same time, we're trying to build chemistry. We're fighting for spots, and then you got to turn around and play a game. And even though you're more talented, I think last year's team had more of a family feel to it versus this year's team where, it was more about, I need to get my spot. And
I need to get what's mine, not what's best for the team.
Yeah. It kind of took its toll.
So, without naming names, going into details or anything like that, but one of the things I asked Coach Evan about, and I know you're an avid watcher, so you might get a feeling of what I'm about to ask you. One of the things I asked him about was the chemistry of the team, because there were times that it seemed like some players were taking unnecessary chances. I'll phrase it that way. What was the chemistry like this year?
I think there was 2 or 3 teams within the team.
Like a top team, a B team, that kind of a thing, or like individual friendships?
Or just friendships, groups. There's guys that play really well together. And then there's guys who you say, this person needs to start. Well, maybe they don't need to start because they don't play well with everybody else.
Right.
So it was kind of the real issue with the chemistry thing was the top 15 talented players weren't all on the same page to play with each other. So, you're putting, we got half the guys out there like playing with each other, half the guys don't like playing with each other. And that mixture just we never smoothed things out. If we had more time, I think it would have got that way. But we were never able to smooth it out to where everybody's working on the same page. And that ultimately caught up with us.
And I think you can see that as a fan. You can see that, early in the season, there was one group. Middle of the season, there was a whole nother team, it felt like. And then even at the end of the season, it felt like a different team as well. So I think that all seems to be in line with what happened on the field as well. Yeah.
And it's, I guess the ugly is going to come out at some point, and that's always going to be the demise of whatever team it is. But I think it's always good to have the experiences to know what to address at the beginning. Right. Then that way we're not trying to fix it at the end. So absolutely, it's only a building block, I think.
Yeah, and I was telling our team president Ben over the weekend. I said this can either send us downward, and we can just be middle of the table UPSL club for forever. Or this can be motivation and drive us to being a better organization. And at least based on their response, talking to you today, kind of outside of the podcast and some other folks, it seems like it's motivation.
Yeah, I think for sure, first thing you have to be able to be honest. And if you're honest with yourself, you're honest with other people, and you sit down and just kind of hash it out. We never got a chance to do that where we could just be honest with each other. So it's going to be something that has to be done even before the next tryouts, or even before. I don't know if there's a fall season coming up or not, but
Maybe if you tune back into next week's podcast, you might find out more information.
Hey, we're breaking news.
Maybe. I'm trying to. There's a theme of some of my podcasts this summer, and I'm trying to schedule them out. So don't spoil anything too soon.
I don't know. I'm not in the know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Well, speaking of thinking out loud, let's kind of jump to the second game. Did you stay for the second game?
I did not stay for the second game.
You didn't miss much. One, Johnny's broadcast was a lot better. It was completely smooth for their whole match.
Of course.
But you played against both Beeman and Deportivo. So thinking about heading into the match, I know you already know the result at this point, but talk to me about what was it like playing Beeman early when it was cold AF and down in Murfreesboro, that unfortunate 7-2 loss, and then against the two matchups against Deportivo.
Well, I have two different outlooks on it just because I played. Did I play two different positions?
I think you did.
I did? Okay. Yeah. So, no, I didn't. I played center back for both of them.
I get confused, so I also have to be honest.
They were in Beeman and Deportivo were back-to-back games. It was a Friday. Yep. It was a Sunday, Friday, I believe. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Beeman, playing against them. They just had more chemistry than us at the time. You could tell they've been together for a while.
Yeah.
They were able to move the ball around, and at the time we're missing, important pieces that we would later get in the season. Guys that even played this past Saturday weren't even at the game against Beeman.
Yep.
So
several guys.
So to me, 7-2. I mean, that's a lot of goals, but at the same time, it wasn't a true testament of what we could bring in a game if we are whole.
Would you have liked to rematch with him?
I would have loved to. I would have loved to play them as a whole team because I saw them as they arrived on Saturday. Not much change. I saw them take the field at least, and then I left. But same starting lineup that they had. So not much change for them, but a lot changed for us. And I think that I could have definitely had a different result for our game. The Deportivo game was interesting about that is I played so bad against Beeman. I was benched for Deportivo, and it's not a complaint. It's the truth. I needed to be sat down.
Right.
Because if you watch the Beeman game, my performance was...
Because you were center field, right?
Yeah, I was right there in the center. And
so
I think
I'm going to pick on you then. Their very first goal, guy just drove straight from literally half field all the way in. No one stopped. I know when I was talking to Coach Evan, I talked about, in basketball, you have to stop ball.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped him.
See what happened was. So
there we go.
In my mind, I was like, okay, I know I'm leaving my guy. I'm going to cut off that pass because I know he's going to want to play him through. So I'm going to cut the pass off, and then I'm going to go sideways on, force him to go to the left.
And somebody behind you will stop him, right?
Not even that. That's the problem with our team at that point was I was just thinking about what I'm going to do, not about what the team needs. So I was like, all right, I'm going to come from this angle. I'm going to cut him off this way. And then that way he'll be forced to go to the left. And he just kind of opened his hips. And I knew he was going to open his hips to make the pass. He opened his hips to make the pass, and he just scooped it right around and just went straight. And I said, oh.
It's going to be like that today.
I said, that was neat. And I think I turned around and saw that he was already headed down the field. And I don't even think I ran back. But that play amongst others, I don't think – I watched the game back. I don't think I had a single tackle won. Even I bumped into Akeem when we went into a tackle. And he even put me on the ground. So with their team and our team, I lost every tackle. So Deportivo, I was on the bench for that game. But I think that was also the first game we got Max, I believe. Or Max and Docky together, which and they just showed they had better chemistry.
Yeah.
And it was evident that those two need to play together.
And they played together before, right?
I think maybe one game.
That's it.
In training, I think.
Oh.
But like being on the sideline to watch Max and Docky play, very good chemistry. That I think they communicated very well, and that the change definitely needed to be made for that game for sure. And I don't know, 4-1 or 4-2?
4-1, 4-2, something like that.
Yeah, they held it down back there for sure. I think I subbed in at the very end of the game, maybe for the outside back, and I think Docky went to right back. So I might have played it.
It seems pretty familiar.
Yeah, about 10 minutes or so. We 4-1. Actually, I think we gave up a goal when I came on the field. Now I think about it. I think it might have been 3-0 when I came on the field. We scored one and then gave up one. It's me. Yeah.
Well, that doesn't excuse what happened on Saturday, though.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know the result from that semifinal, final score: Beeman United 5, Deportivo 0.
Yeah.
It was a semi-entertaining game. The first half was relatively competitive. I called it. I said the halftime score would be 1-0. I just had the teams backward. I thought Deportivo, recently playing us and beating Nashville Knights the week before, Beeman being on that long break.
Yep.
I thought maybe Deportivo would get one early, but no. And then the second half, I was, completely outstanded by all of their goals. 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, finally 5-0. But I was also correct. I set the over/under at 5 on that game. 5 goals. So if you took the over, I'm sorry, but you need the exacta on that one.
Yeah.
So now AJ, it sets up a final this Saturday. Iterbide Beeman again in a rematch from their April 30th game, which was Beeman's only loss of the year. Was to Iterbide 1-0. AJ, you played against both these teams. What do you think will happen in this championship
3-0.
game? Beeman 3-0.
Beeman 3-0. Easy.
Really?
Easy 3-0. Easy 3-0.
Wow.
I mean, if you got to watch the game back for Beeman and Iterby. The center back, the South African guy, like 6'7", whatever he is, he wasn't there the first half. That's how the ball got through. They had their 6 that played against us. Number 8, he was playing center back. He's slow, couldn't move. They played a ball past him. He's about as old as me, maybe older. He couldn't get to it. That's how they scored. So Beeman 3-0, easy. It's not even close.
Wow. So I'm going to harshly disagree.
Oh, man.
I really think Iturbide is in a position where they want to show that 1-0 game was no fluke. And I'm actually going to think they're going to win 4-2.
4-2.
And I'm going to set the over-under at 6. And honestly, I'd probably lean towards the under. 4-2 seems like a lot.
How many goals did Beeman give up on the season?
Great question. Let's get another one here in a minute. This is BGFC Weekly, not Beeman United Weekly. Yeah, remember that.
I would want to get in. I like to debate, so
I know on the season they scored, or their goal differential. Yeah, here it is. I do have it right in front of me.
Okay.
Goals for Beeman 53. Goals allowed 8.
8.
For Iturbide 39 for 11 allowed. And that was really the difference. Beeman 45 plus 45 goal differential versus a plus 28. That's the only reason that Iturbide didn't win first place.
Yeah.
Because of the goal differential. Because they're tied on points. Both teams ended with 25 points.
Okay.
But your first tiebreaker is goal differential. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Almost 20 more.
I'm firm on that 3-0.
Okay, well,
I'm firm on that.
Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, you go down in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts on who you think is going to win that matchup. Again, I'm saying 4-2. AJ saying 3-0.
Easy.
I'm setting the over/under at 6. So let us know kind of your predictions down below. But AJ, now I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about you.
Okay.
So you're from Louisville, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Born and raised, right?
Yes.
So, what is the best fast food chain in Louisville, and why is it Indies?
So you did Indies.
That's what I would go with. Like a chain specifically to Louisville.
Okay.
Even though I ate at the Lexington one.
Because nobody eats KFC. Indies has the best chicken because nobody eats KFC.
Nope. I can't tell you the last time I was in Kentucky and I went to KFC.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Colonel.
Nobody goes to KFC unless you get one of those invites in the mail to do like a tasting at the KFC building. that happens.
What?
They
I need to go to Louisville.
When they have new stuff coming out, they send out a little email. Or
how often do they have new stuff? I feel like the most recent thing is like the Famous Bowl from 10 years ago.
No, the chicken sandwich, the Jack Harlow meal.
Oh yeah, they do have that.
Yeah. So, but
shout out to Jack Harlow if you're looking to sponsor a soccer team. Please, dear God, hit us up. He has good music though.
Yeah, Jack. He plays soccer too.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah, he played with Andrew Furl that plays pro soccer in MLS right now.
So, Jack Harlow, I know you're listening, especially at this point.
Yeah.
We would love to hear you. We need an investor for some of our future plans. Please, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Big fan of your music.
He's a soccer guy for sure.
That Churchill Downs song, though, have you heard that one?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. Him and Drake.
I heard
They actually filmed the video at the Derby.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
That was crazy. Did you watch the Derby very much?
I watched the Derby race. That's about it.
Yeah. As a kid, did you pay attention to it or anything?
As a kid, we were always at the racetrack.
Really?
And, yeah. My parents love to gamble.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's
so the over-unders and stuff that
we like to go to the racetrack and put money on horses, and my brother and I, we pick horses or whatever and see if we win.
What's your strategy for picking a good horse?
Like a winning horse. My favorite number is 15. So if there's a 15 out there, I go with 15. If there's a 5, I go with 5. And my mom says, "You never bet against a gray horse." That's what she says.
I've heard similar advice, and every time I bet on a gray horse, they always lose.
They're always like last to me.
Yeah, it's usually not even close. It's always like 2 or 3 furlongs. Furlongs. There
furlongs,
it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, man. It's kind of early for these podcasts. I'm going to record them later in the day, so I'll use that as an excuse. I have always been told when you're betting on a horse, you have to go to the paddock, you have to look at it, walk around, and you look for the horse with the biggest backside.
Biggest back? Well, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of power, it doesn't always work for me, but I don't know, 30% hit rate maybe?
Maybe. You can look at the trainers as well. There's a lot of good trainers out there. So you look what trainer and what farm they came from. There's the parents, whatever the stud was, I guess.
Right.
You look for that bloodline. That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
So this is turning into a horse podcast all of a sudden.
We could talk it.
I would love to do that. We'll bring you on maybe next year closer to the Derby. We have a Derby special.
Hey, yeah.
Let's do it. There was a question in there that I needed to edit. Never mind. Talk to me about what role soccer played in your youth. I know that you played at Javanon, right? So this is 2 weeks in a row I've had a Javanon player on. Kind of? Okay, talk to me about that.
Okay, so I wasn't as good as your last guest when I first started playing soccer. I was in 7th grade. So I was put on a B team. We were called Javanon Juventus. And that's just kind of how I started learning soccer at that point. Wasn't good at all, so I practiced on my own, practiced with the team. I was probably on a B team until 10th grade, I think. And,
so what made you want to stay on their B team as opposed to maybe going to another club and being on their A team?
Well, I knew I was bad 7th grade because I'd never played before. 8th grade, still learning the game, and the B team's more about development there. Because they have very good, trainers that, help guys get better. 9th grade, I was like, I'm good enough to make the A team. So I only went to Javanon's tryouts, which was my mistake. So I got put on the B team again. I was like, it's too late to join other teams. So that was the reason I was there for 3 years. Sophomore year, I was like, I'm not even going to give them the opportunity. I want to beat them now. I want to beat the A team now. So I went to United, which is who Jack Harlow played for as well. So
there you go. Now you're part of the connection too.
Yeah. So went to United, played with them, and we weren't competitive enough to win state. So I need that state ring. So I was like, all right, I'm going to Mockingbird. I think they're KFJ now, or maybe they're back to Mockingbird now. I'm not sure.
But all of this is completely rushing over me if you can't tell. I'm bald and it's just flying over my head.
I went to Mockingbird. It's coming back to Javanon though. Just wait for it. Went to Mockingbird. We lost to Javanon in the state final. So I was like, man. And like right after the game, they're like, "Are you gonna come back to us?" And I was like,
well, "If I can be on the A team."
Well, the B team just dissolved; it went away. But over time,
you were the key part.
Over time, the B team just kind of phased out. And I think I was a senior in high school, or about to be a senior in high school, and it's like, "Are you gonna come back?" And I was like, "I will." So I came back and to Javenon and finished out a couple state titles. So then I finally enjoyed everything that Jansen was able to enjoy his entire Javenon career. I got that at the 2 last years.
So you said you started playing in 7th grade. Did you play any other sports beforehand?
Basketball is my favorite sport.
Okay.
Still to this day.
Thoughts on the Warriors then? Dynasty? Question mark?
The Warriors play beautiful sports. I'll say they're a beautiful sports team. It's the chemistry you want amongst your team and teammates. It's the trust between player and coach that you want. It's the ball movement. It's everything. You can put that into the Colorado Avalanche. They just won last night. Mm-hmm. You can put that into any soccer game. But their style of play translates through many different sports. So I'm not a Warriors fan, but I do enjoy everything the Warriors do. Because it's an amazing machine, I think.
So Jansen last week said he would probably be like a shooting guard, maybe a point guard. If you had to play basketball now, what position would you play?
I'm a point guard.
You're a point guard.
Yeah, a point guard.
So if I'm drafting BGFC players on a basketball team, who should I pick first, you or Jansen?
You definitely take me.
Okay.
You take me if you're taking soccer players.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes me and then whoever else you want. Jansen is probably he's a little ways down there. So if Jansen's watching this, he knows. We've run the ones a couple times.
Okay. Little one-on-one game.
Little one-on-one. Oh,
okay.
For soccer, he kills me now. I'm old, but I'm not gonna lie, he beats me.
Well, we'll pull it back to soccer. Now, something that I found interesting, you played at Western, right? Mm-hmm. For the men's team. So, for those who don't know, there was a memo sent out in February 2008 that the university was dissolving their men's team, and you were on that team. Mm-hmm. What year were you at that point?
Senior.
You were senior, okay.
Yes.
So what was that like? What was it like to hear your senior year, goodbye, we're done?
It was very abrupt for one. I just got to go back just a couple steps. I set out my junior. Actually, it would be my 5th year in college. It would be my senior year. So let's say senior year that I should have played.
Right, your extra lap.
I sat that out. I was like, I just need time to myself. Want to enjoy the game a bit more so I can train on my own. And then in the spring, I was like, I'm coming back. So we came back and we're doing workouts in the morning like we normally do. And everybody's at the door of Diddle waiting to get in. And trainer opens the door and he's like, guys, you can go back to sleep. And I was like, man.
Now, where did you all play? Because I know campus looks totally different than it did then.
Oh, is the field still the same? Right over there off of...
behind the parking garage?
Behind the parking garage, yeah. Right next to the railroad tracks. The same field. We share this field with the women's team.
Okay. So, I thought that was newer than 2008, but...
That's always been there for a while. For a while. I think even when I did a visit, I guess, in 2000...
You don't have to fill that part in.
Yeah, it's just a long time ago.
So you're the first person that I can actually feel is not making me feel older. So I'm going to make you feel older. I graduated high school in 2008. So
2008, you graduated high school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Hopkins County Central.
What a time.
We'll talk about high school soccer in a second, though. So Coach Henson was there. Was he? Any thoughts on him at the time?
And where?
At Western.
Oh,
is that the head coach?
Coach Holmes.
Holmes, yes. I miswrote that, yes.
David Holmes. What do you want me to say about David Holmes?
Any thoughts on him? Was there maybe something that he could have done to help save the team or anything like that?
I hope he's in great health right now. And
sounds great.
hope the family's doing well.
All right.
Yeah.
So there was the article that I was reading about this was from the newspaper here in Bowling Green. it did talk about how the cut of the men's soccer team would save the university about $300,000 a year. But that was also the same time that the football team, the American football team, was moving up from FCS to FBS, which would cost the university an additional $3.75 million, most of that being in football stadium renovation. Mm-hmm. So the last question I want to talk about this is, do you think that cutting the men's team was directly responsible or was directly related to the men's football team moving up divisions?
Absolutely. We weren't the only ones. Men's swimming and diving left that same year, and then men's tennis left the year after.
Okay.
So it's definitely was a budget cut thing. We even had an intramural soccer team called Budget Cuts that we played against the normal student body in intramural soccer.
That's how I got my start, was with intramural soccer.
Yeah, we named ourselves Budget Cuts, and because we were a year removed from playing collegiately, because I think the season started the following spring. Mm-hmm. So we were all able to play intramurals as the Budget Cuts, and
Budget Cuts.
Hey, got our championship though.
Hey, there you go. So then, where did you go after Western? Did you go play professionally anywhere? Germany?
No, I tried to. I continued playing with the PDO teams. Nashville Metros was a team that was.
You played for the Metros?
Yeah, that was a team that we had. It was pretty popular for us to go down there and play.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was like probably that when I was in high school. So probably about 08, 09. I went to a couple of their games.
Yeah.
They played down at that stadium where there was like the penitentiary up on the top of the hill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Terrible field.
It was bad.
Back to back.
Yeah.
That's where we played. Yeah. So yeah, I played with them. I went out with my brother and played for the Cincinnati Kings, which is now Kings Hammer Soccer Club, and eventually turned into FC Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. But when did that, I waited for my brother to graduate from college, and then we tried to do a couple stints in Canada playing soccer, and then had tryouts in Mexico, and just nothing ever kind of popped off. So I realized I'm not as good as I thought it was. But
so then on that note, when BGFC came about last year, you joined the team and stuff like that as a player. Why did you come back to play for BGFC?
I think I missed the competitive side. Like at first, it was a joke. I was like, hey, I'm gonna sign up and I'm gonna be a center back, and everybody's like, oh, that'd be funny. And one person I know, he sent me a screenshot that he signed up and put the position he was going to play, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I thought we were really doing this. I was like, no, I was joking. I was like, I'm not gonna play. He's like, well, you got to play now. I already paid.
Right.
And I was like, oh man. I said, so I went ahead and signed up, and I was like, I'm putting center back on mine. He was like, you're not a center back. And I was like, well, I'm gonna do it because there's gonna be too many midfielders. I can't move like that anymore. So went out to tryouts and enjoyed the competitive atmosphere, and I was just really wanting to, get a nice little shirt and go on my way home, and just enjoy being around the young guys and how competitive they were. And I was like, you know what, I might actually take this serious and get in shape and try to play. So initially that's how it happened for me.
So then once you got onto the team, were you doing a lot of mentoring of some of the other players, or were you just kind of like, nah, screw these young guys, like they'll figure it out?
Yeah, I don't do any type of mentoring stuff. Like if I'm able to compartmentalize, if I am coaching, I will coach. If I am playing, I will play. If we're across from each other and we're on the same field, you're not on my team. You're not my friend. I don't know you at this moment. I am making sure you know I'm better than you. So that's kind of the approach I've always taken. And it was fun to kind of get back into that mindset with guys who were younger, faster, stronger, and try to keep up.
All right, Kanye.
Bigger, faster.
So speaking of coaching, you're now the head coach at Warren Central, right?
Uh-huh.
Talk to me about how the Dragons have been doing the last couple of years. I mean, I know absolutely nothing about like Bowling Green soccer, especially Warren Central and stuff like that. Okay. So give me the quick crash course into Dragons soccer.
The quick crash course is 2 to pat myself on the back, I probably had the best turnaround of any program in the state. A team that never competed for a district title. Now we're pretty respected in the entire state. So we've been to state a couple of times, Final Four once, and really with the emergence of South Warren, or not emergence, they were there for us. But
what do you mean? They're the new high school, so
I mean they were winning before we were winning.
Okay.
So I would say the two schools in the past 6 or 7 years, we've been able to push each other back and forth to make each other better. So where we went to the Final Four 1 year, a couple of years later, they go to the state final.
Nice.
So we've been able to push each other in that aspect as far as, who's going to be able to develop better kids, develop better players. And the players feel it the same way. So I think that would be my take on high school soccer right now. And
well, you talk about that developing of players. We did have one Dragon on the Golden Lions this year. Sin? No?
No, yeah, like 6.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, something after high school's wrong.
No.
So who was all of that?
We had Sin, Nay-Ray, Jimmie, Demir.
I don't think I realized Demir went there as well. That's an oversight by me.
Yeah, Demir. Who else? Is that all? We'll cut off right there.
Okay.
That's 4.
Yeah.
There's a couple that practiced with us that never saw the field. So in practice, it was probably 7, I think.
So as a coach at Warren Central, what does it mean to have such a strong connection with BGFC for your players?
Oh, it means a lot because the guys are able to see, not only myself go out there and play or even train and work hard, but they're able to see guys that they've played with, know what they can do in practice, and then see that, okay, I'm not just, terrible. This guy's actually going out there and competing against college players, grown men, and, kind of holding his own as well. So it gives them the thought that, hey, if I keep working hard, then, I'm going to be able to do that same thing, or, I'll be that good as well.
Right. So briefly, as we're, approaching the end of, today's podcast, what are your thoughts this year on your Dragons team? You think you're going to win state? What are we thinking?
I think we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Okay.
I think
it's very honest of you to say.
Yeah, we have a lot of work ahead of us. I think South Warren is going to come back as the favorite. They have their top 13 players returning to their team, which nobody ever does that.
That's a lot.
They have, so I would say their top 13 players returning to their team. I think we're sitting neck and neck with Bowling Green, with them having, Craig Widener back full time. He gets kids to work. And I mean, run through walls, not like that cliche saying. He has kids running through walls. And being able to inspire kids to work that hard to get their goals is something that we have to respect. And it's important for not only my kids to know how hard they're working, but South Warren, they're probably thinking the same thing. It's like, right. It's not going to be, a walk in the park with Bowling Green at all, because they're coming to, reclaim what has always been their area.
Well, I knew that was kind of the way in American football. That's what I played. I remember playing at Bowling Green I think it was my freshman year. The halftime score was 68-0 Bowling Green.
Oh,
so
yeah. They've been easy on you.
As a freshman, I was playing in the fourth quarter of a state playoff game. So yeah. And that was terrible. Like, literally, I was god awful. Like, I didn't even start for the JV team my junior year.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like, I was really bad. And I went in my freshman year. That's how low on the totem pole we were in that game. But, AJ, last thing. Didn't know if you maybe had a small announcement you wanted to make for the BGFC fans out there.
I would just say, hey, hold tight. We got a lot of stuff coming. We're always looking to improve ourselves amongst this area. We're going to keep trying to build and become a part of, our community. And I want you guys to be a part of everything we have moving forward.
Okay. Any kind of last thoughts? Anything you wanna say before we start the closeout here?
Last thoughts. I don't think I have any last thoughts. No.
All right. I appreciate always having you on and getting to talk with you, AJ.
Absolutely.
In full transparency, we had our first conversation right before we hopped on today, so it's been great talking to you. As a reminder, we are always looking for a full-time sponsor of BGFC Weekly. I'm going to start reaching out to some different people, this week, next week. So if you're a business owner and you're looking to really expand your brand, please reach out to us. We would love to work with you. As a reminder, we will not have a podcast next week. It's 4th of July weekend here in America, Independence Day that weekend, so I will not be available to get it recorded, so no podcast next week. However, we will be right back the week after that. We're going to review what happened in the conference championship game, talk about the UPSL national tournament, as well as break down all things BGFC related. With our do-it-all guy, Mr. Michael Swerkos. So please make sure you rate, like, comment on the podcast, on the YouTube page, on Spotify, wherever you are listening, on Apple, Anchor, wherever, Google. We always like to see the engagement with our fans. But until next time, folks, this is Jimmie, signing off.